What's up, guys? Welcome back. We're going to go through another full session today. Today is the final day of phase 2, so we'll be moving to phase 3 next week. Not crazy different from phase to phase as far as the stimulus that we're going to be getting. It's going to be more of a change in the movements that we're doing. Not crazy changes, but things that were like a heavy strength focused movement that was bilateral is going to be switched to a unilateral variation. Again, stimulus is going to stay similar, but we're just making little changes like that with the movements, just making sure that we don't get worn out with the same exact patterns, moving in the same exact way for too long. Today is a full body pull day, strength focus, so we're gonna hit some heavy deadlifts today. For our athletic movement to start the session, we've got horizontal plyos and jumps. Program's calling for repeat broad jumps. I'm gonna replace those with some triple jumps, and then we're gonna hit some single effort, single leg broad jumps and see how far we can go. There we go. So these triple jumps are falling under my plyometric umbrella for today. So I'm really trying to be bouncy out of these single legs here and not spend any amount of time on the ground. So I'm reacting, rebounding off the ground, and seeing how far we can go. There we go. So anytime you're doing any kind of jumping, whether it's a horizontal jumping or vertical jumping, if you can measure it, that's the easiest cheat code for you to get the best results. It's really easy to show up and just go through your jumps every week. But if you're not measuring it, you don't really know how you're doing, and it's very easy to trick yourself into thinking that you're going hard. But if you're measuring, you can't cheat the measurement. It keeps you accountable, it keeps your effort honest, and it makes you push yourself and actually attack your reps with some intent every week. And it doesn't even have to be a tape measure necessarily. If you have a water bottle, jump with your water bottle, place it next to your heel wherever you land, and try to jump farther than that on the next time. Some way to track what you're actually doing instead of just going through the jumps like homework and checking it off the list. We got an inch there. It's not necessarily the type of work I would recommend to do with no shoes on, but the shoes I brought today suck for jumping, and they actually kind of make it feel worse. So I'm going shoeless today, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. Oh yeah, where did that one come from? All right, we need more tape, I think. Oh yeah, this keeps getting better. So stuff like this, I'm not necessarily counting reps. I'm gonna keep going until I stop improving my distance. But while I'm feeling good and the marker keeps moving up, I'm going to keep going until it stops moving. Oh, yeah. All right. 22 feet, 2 inches. Not bad. I think we're going to stop there today. All right, we're shifting now to our single leg broad jumps, which aren't quite as cool looking as the triple jumps. But again, this is going to fall more under the power category, where I'm not necessarily being bouncy and elastic and plyometric. It's more muscular-based strategy. So my muscles I'm relying on to move me through space. I like the single leg broad jumps. It's good to get good at learning how to push through one foot, push through that forefoot, drop the shin down so it's pointing in the direction I want to go, and really maximize the jumps here. So we got 2 markers going, one for the left foot, one for the right foot. Typically my left foot is going to jump farther than my right foot, but they're kind of neck and neck today, so we'll see how it goes. Woo! All right. All right. Right leg's not going down without a fight today. Oh, there we go. Nice rebuttal left leg. All right, we got the left leg at about 87 inches and the right leg at 84 inches. I'm going to rip one more on both sides, see if we can get close to 90 on the left, and maybe closer to 86 on the right. Oh, shit, he sent it. Well, that's 96, but I don't know if we can count it. All right, one more off the right. Ooh. There we go. All right. 87 with the right, 88 with the left, and I think we're good. All right, let's pick up heavy stuff. All right, get into our deadlifts now. So I made a post earlier in the week that talked about moving your warm-up reps with some speed and some pace and some intensity. Today what I have for deadlifts is 4 sets, 2 threes, and then 2 back-off sets of 5. So my main stimulus today, the main stimulus I'm after is a strength stimulus from the deadlifts, but there's no reason that I can't also get a power stimulus or work on rate of force development with my warm-up reps on the way up to that heavy weight. I'm gonna get to the heavy weight and I'm gonna do the warm-up reps, so I might as well get something out of them. I think it's kind of easy to just go through the motions and just kind of slog through your warm-up reps. But by attacking them with a little bit of intensity, I'm gonna get that rate of force development work, that power work, as well as the strength stimulus. And it's also going to switch me on a little bit. I'm going to get to those higher threshold motor units earlier in the sets. And I'm going to approach the bar with some intent and approach it with some purpose and some focus. So it's just going to yield a better result by the time I get up to my top sets. And we're killing a couple birds with one stone. So that's the whole story. Here we go. So one thing you do want to be mindful of, especially with deadlifts, is if you're trying to move your reps quickly, not yanking the weight off the ground. So I don't want to have any slack and give it one of those off the ground. I want to push through the ground so everything's nice and locked in, pushing through the ground and come through with the hips. Sometimes athletes, when they're trying to move it with some pace, they'll do a big load up, let their arms go slack, and then try to rip it off the ground. You get yourself into trouble doing it like that. So while you want to move it with some intensity, we don't want to do that. Getting into belt territory. All right, our top set last week was at 475. So I'm going to rip one set of 3 here at 455, see how it feels today. Depending on how it feels will depend on whether or not I count it as a working set. But if we can get back up to the 475, maybe 480, 485 range today, that would be cool. But we'll see how we feel. Yep. Ooh. All right. All right, that felt pretty good. I'm going to slap some 10s on, so we'll go up to 475. And depending on how that feels, might add a little more and do another set of 3 and then scrap one of the sets of 5 at the end. But we'll see how she goes. Yuck. That was a little more grindy than I wanted. Felt heavy, moved slower than I wanted. So that's going to be our top set today. And we'll hit our 2 lighter sets of 5 now. All right, moving on. All right, we're getting into some chest supported rows now with some slow eccentrics. Weights are just kind of feeling heavy today. Most obvious thing I can point to is a couple days this week with, we'll say, less than optimal sleep. And when you're pushing and you're trying to go, at a relatively high intensity, multiple days a week, stuff like that adds up. So you really feel it if you're not sleeping the right way, if you're not eating the right way, if you're not hydrated, all the little boring details that all the coaches and everybody talks about. When you're trying to perform and you're trying to push yourself at a certain intensity, if you don't attend to those little details, you're going to feel it and it's going to come out. So I had a couple days this week where I just didn't get great sleep for one reason or another. And today the weights are just feeling a little bit heavier. So we'll just manage expectations today, push where I can push and be smart where I need to be smart, and set myself up for success for the next session. So I put up a post this week differentiating between bouncing and jumping, where bouncing falls under the plyometric umbrella, where we're reacting off the ground, recycling energy. It's stiff, it's bouncy, it's elastic. We have short ground contact times, whereas jumping is a more muscular strategy where we're not bouncing off the ground. We're kind of starting, creating our own energy using our muscles to move ourselves off the ground rather than bouncing, reacting, and recycling. And I had someone reach out, ask a question, and they asked, which do you prefer for runners? I asked sprinting or long distance. So the question was for distance runners. Do I prefer bouncing or jumping? And it was kind of a two-part answer. First part of the answer is I think bouncing is probably going to translate more directly to long distance running because your running economy is so important, how you interact with the ground and kind of bounce along instead of pushing yourself along. A good long distance runner will know how to be efficient with their energy, and bouncing is going to help you build that efficiency and help you build that timing in the way that you interact with the ground, recycling energy and moving yourself along, and ultimately improving your running economy. The second half of the answer is I would also have jumping, max effort jumps in a long distance runners program just for general physical preparedness, just to still have that capability and that tool in your tool belt. If you never ever jump and express that quality and practice that quality, your muscles aren't used to contracting that quickly, and then one day you just try to move quickly or jump or sprint, you can injure yourself because you don't have the capacity to move that quickly. So just to keep some max effort jumping in everybody's program, just so we have the capability. And then also, if you're a distance runner and you need to kick at the end of the race and you need to pick it up and accelerate real quickly, so max effort jumping is going to help with that output and that big acceleration. So the answer to that question is yes, both are good for long distance runners. I wouldn't neglect either in their training. All right, on to the next. Getting into some super maximal eccentrics with the Nordics. I talked about this last time I went through this workout. I'm not a huge fan of Nordics on the GHD. Things can get kind of sticky with the pad, where your knee is on the pad, the distance from the pad to where your feet are. It's not ideal, but I don't have anybody to hold my ankles today, so it's what we got. All right, let's give it a shot. Shit. Those never get fun. So a lot of these kind of look like junk right now. It's kind of a big deal for me, given the hamstring injury. There's no way I would have been close to doing these a few months ago. So huge that I'm able to do them again. They don't look great. I don't feel as strong as I once felt with them, but we're getting there. We're building back up. Hamstring's getting better. I think pretty soon here I'm going to break the lasers out and see where I'm at speed-wise. I haven't had them out since the injury, just for fear of me pushing myself past what I should be doing. But I think I'm feeling pretty confident with it now. And I've been saying through the rehab process that by the end of this rehab, I will run faster than I ran in college, which isn't saying much because I wasn't very fast in college. I was a hockey player and had no idea how to actually run. So I'll be interested to see post hamstring rehab where I'm at. So that'll be coming up soon. All right, 2 more sets here. See if I can get a nicer set. I won't make you guys watch both sets. fuck. God damn. All right, program calls for some weighted chin-ups here, but I've been on a front lever mission, so I'm going to keep practicing my front levers in place of the chin-ups. And practicing the front levers once a week probably isn't sufficient, but I am showing progress with them, so just keep getting some touches with it. Oh boy. The lat strength required for these is ridiculous. To keep, as you're in the air, pushing down into the bar, pulling with the lats. It's no joke. It definitely doesn't pay to be 6'4" and try to do these, but what are you gonna do? Oh, good Lord. So I was checking out tutorial videos for progressions to lead up to a front lever. And one of them was showing what's called a reverse deadlift, where you're essentially upside down, and I'm going to pull into the bar and shoot my legs up to the sky as I extend my hips. So that's a fun challenge if you've never tried it. I'll show you what it looks like right now. But if you try it, don't let go and fall on your head and break your neck, because that would be negative. Not good for you. Those are no joke either. All right, I'm gonna mess around a little bit more here, but I won't make you guys watch it. All right, last task of the day, we have some barbell curls, and we're gonna go as many reps as we can strict. And once I run out of gas, I'll do as many cheater reps as I can with the slow eccentric. So I'll swing it up, cheat it up, and then come down as slow as we can. And we'll do as many of those as we can until we run out of gas. You'll probably be okay with one set if you get north of 25 reps on the first set. But I think I'm gonna go for 2 today. All right, let's go. All right. Jesus. Whew. All right, guys, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you're interested in getting on this program, doing what I'm doing, or working with me, find me on Instagram, coach_white. I'm on the Gorilla Blueprint right now, my off-season program. And I have other options for stuff we can get into, personal programs, personal training, all sorts of stuff. So if you're interested, hit me up and I'll get you sorted out. Thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.